LinkedIn. Yes, everybody is here. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Catalina Flore, Fit for the Top, and I'm joined by Laz Jefferson in an unforgettable chat. And now, let me say a couple of things. Besides the fact that he's a very dear friend of mine and a colleague at Tony Robbins, he does amazing things on this planet. And just I think last week, he's doing lots of breath work and coaching. And last week or 2 weeks ago, I had a journey with you, but we're going to talk about it, which is really cool. You hold space for me. So here's the thing. We're going to talk about managing stress using your breath in a smart way in order to achieve blissful states, peaceful states, and have some fun. Now, about Laz, for nearly a decade, Laz, actually 15 years, has been a rebirthing practitioner in California. And he was certified by the man, the Leonard Orr, the founder of the rebirthing movement. Laz conducts seminars and workshops all over the world, remotely or face-to-face. And weaving together his background in rebirthing as well as his work as a licensed practitioner of religious science, corporate trainer on evolutionary strategies for business for Epstein Technologies, and a member of Tony Robbins' trainer family. He's an amazing trainer. Les has created a process for uncovering unconsciously held disempowering beliefs, otherwise known as personal lies, and refers to himself as a story unteller. Polarity responder, you are. Okay, so story unteller, knowing that this is the stories we tell about ourselves that shape how we define ourselves. Story unteller, Mr. Laz Jefferson, the one and only. Welcome. Thank you for being here with me. What's the thing with the story unteller? Tell us.
So here's the thing: is that as I said, as you said, that I believe that basically we're living within a story, and most of us, if not all of us, are telling stories, giving meanings to things that happen unconsciously.
Yes.
And then that becomes let's say, for example, I don't know, when you're a small child, your mother looked at you strangely or said something in a tone that really affected you. And you thought, oh my gosh, there must be something wrong with me. Why would my mother do that? And then you have that thought that maybe there's something wrong with me, or I'm a bad person, or I'm not worthy of love, or whatever that little question mark is that comes up. And so then you start looking for more evidence. Well, oh my gosh, if my mother thinks that's true, maybe other people think that that is true as well. And so you start looking for evidence that this idea that you had, that there's something wrong with you for your mother to have looked at you that way or spoke to you with that tone. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, my father did that too. And you're not looking for anything other than the proof that you're right, that there's something wrong with you or that you're unlovable.
And we live our lives to prove ourselves that we are right in the way we define ourselves, right?
Exactly. Because once we start having more and more evidence, and a thought then becomes stronger and stronger, and then it becomes a belief. And then we say, oh no, this is true. I am an unlovable person. There is something wrong with me.
Yes.
And then we have a collection of, it's also true that I'm not good looking. That's one reason they don't like me. And then we have all these reasons for people not to like us, or there's something wrong with us. Maybe I didn't do well in school or whatever, just more evidence that there's something wrong with me. And then it becomes your identity. And as you know, Catalina, what Tony says is the strongest force in human nature is to remain consistent with the identity that we define ourselves with. And so a lot of the work that I do is I take people through some processes to realize, to unwind the story or untell the story to ourselves. And then
create another story. Create another story. A more empowering one.
We have to have a story. We have to have a story. That's how we're designed. There's no way of getting around it. So either we have a story that, there's something wrong with me, or we have a story that I am, a divine creature and there's nothing wrong with me. And it's really just, other people having their issues, or it was just something random happened.
And because that's important what you're saying, we have an identity, and most of the time for many people, this is an unconscious process, right? They have no clue that this is running the show.
Right.
And that many people then get very surprised that I don't understand. I almost got what I wanted. And just in the last moment, I sabotage myself, or whatever happens, or it got the thing and they cannot sustain a level of success or a certain level, and then they need to go. So that's a noble thing what you're doing. And how did you get into breath? Yeah, when we were birthed, we started to breathe. So how did you get into conscious breath?
Yeah, it was actually pretty much by accident. Oh my gosh, this goes back to San Francisco in like 2006, 2007. And I was just looking for something to do. And oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the specifics of the story is not important. But anyway, I was in San Francisco and ended up in a workshop, in a class from a man by the name of Christian de la Huerta, who now is working out of Miami. And it was this breathing thing that I knew nothing about. And so we lay down and we breathed in this very specific, easy but specific way. And I lay there for an hour and I had one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I've since I've done some work with plant medicines as well, and rebirthing is as close to that experience without anything other than breathing, of creating an alternate state of consciousness in which you can see things about yourself from a different perspective. And once I had that experience of having an inner opening, I had to have more. And so I was an apprentice with Christian for a couple of years, doing retreats with him and doing a lot of one-on-one rebirthing with my guinea pigs, should I call them?
Yeah.
And then I started around the same time. I went to one of Leonard Orr's 9-day rebirthing retreats, and up in the mountains above Tahoe. And
I've done rebirthing processes several times, and it's amazing. And maybe you're gonna explain a little bit to people that have no freaking clue what we're talking about. About this thing with rebirthing. But here's the thing: I always say there are so many different avenues to reach our destination, and using breath in a conscious way, in a specific ways, it's an amazing technique to help us get into an altered state of consciousness, get into experience states of awe, states of elevation, in which, and of course, the brain waves are totally different than in a normal state of consciousness. And then we have access to information that in a normal awake state of consciousness, we don't. So then we get many insights in life. There is a lot of healing that happens. People become freer, if you like. They experience what it means to be free and connected, right?
So as you were saying, it's like being free from the story, because you see your stories from a different perspective, and then you go, oh my gosh, all this stuff I thought was true about me is not true at all.
So before people start imagining people getting through vaginas to rebirth, maybe you can explain a little bit the process of rebirthing in the way you do it. Okay.
Yeah, sure. And I want to preface this is that it's important that if people have not gone through this process before with a trained practitioner, this is not something to try on your own. This is not something to say, I can do that. This sounds really easy. Because it does put you in a different state of vulnerability, and stuff can come up that maybe at the time you're not prepared to deal with, whether it's talk therapy or just knowing that there's somebody there to care for you. So step one is do not do this. Reach out and find yourself a trained rebirther to do it at least a few times before you want to take this on yourself. So it's called rebirthing because at some point during your initial 10 sessions, working with a trained practitioner of rebirthing breathwork, you will re-experience your birth in a very direct, very visceral way, coming through the vagina is how I experience it and how most people do experience it. And that's why it's called rebirthing. And that's such an amazing experience when somebody's able to have that, because you really go from the non-physical state, as an energy being, taking human form, and then coming into this existence, and you realize that it's like a restarting. It's starting over. I also call it connected breath work, just because it's not doesn't have the label or the negative associations that people have. There is a rebirthing technique where people make a tunnel of pillows and you go through the pillows, and people were calling.
But this is not what you're doing.
Not at all what I'm talking about. This was something they were doing in Colorado, and it was somebody had some challenges because they were really compressed in this tunnel. So it's not an actual physical experience of being rebirthed through a tunnel of pillows. It's just laying there breathing.
And then is a process through which a licensed practitioner takes the client, right?
Yeah.
In order to?
Sorry?
In order to?
In order to just have an experience, in order to get closer to your personal essence, in order to create freedom within your consciousness, in order to relax, in order to just feel a feeling of peace, of bliss, of all is right in the world. Yeah, that's the in order to. And every experience is different. Everybody has a different experience. You can guarantee you're going to lay down and breathe in a connected manner.
So you need to do the connected breath. Maybe go through this for a certain period of time in order.
Yes, the connected breath is where the inhale matches, where the inhale and exhale touch. Like, for example, if you think we all know what a ventilator is now. And if you think of in a hospital, the ventilator being there's that tube that goes, right? And that's kind of how we breathe. Many of us breathe just short breaths. We have a hold at the top and a hold at the bottom, and we rarely have a full breath. And what we want to do as well is to connect the inhale with the exhale. So it becomes something like.
So finding a beautiful rhythm, right?
Rhythm. Yes.
And this alters the state of consciousness, right?
As simple as
you have to do it. You don't do it for a minute or something. You have to do it for a long time.
It takes about 15-20 minutes really of this, and to work with the counselor, the practitioner, to make sure that there's no spaces, and to make sure maybe that you're having an even breath between your chest and your belly. So there's some very specific things that have to happen in order for that.
Yes.
So this is why you would really need to have a practitioner, because going through it the first several times are really some specific techniques that person needs to work with you, so that after 10 or 15 minutes of breathing in this way, you then can enter a different realm.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's.
And you hold space beautifully, because I like to do this at some regular intervals, because this helps me also get access to deeper intelligence in me. Yeah. And when I have dilemmas or in my life, I do it through meditations, or I do sometimes this kind of let's say birthing or breathing journees. And I had one with you I think 10 days ago or something, and it was so beautiful. And actually more than 2 weeks ago actually. And then this I got a very beautiful insight also about sharing more in this period of for many it's a crisis, for others it's a period of opportunities. Everybody sees or has a different meaning to this period. Yeah. And I got lots of insights during the process with you, because you hold space in a beautiful way and guided me through the birthing. So through the birthing, okay, it is birthing in a way, through the birthing process. Right. So that's very important, because you can use this kind of processes, right, when when you have dilemmas, where you want to think which direction, when you want more clarity, right?
Yes, yeah. And here's the thing: is that rebirthing is kind of like, or the connected breath work is, I don't know how to say, like the top of the pyramid, right? It's because there's so many different breathing techniques. There's the breath from yoga. There's pranayama, the breath of fire. From meditation, there's a chakra meditation breath work that you can do where you
Yes,
breathe
yes.
all your chakras. I mean, it goes on and on and on. They're all different expressions of using, or different modalities of using the breath to just have a different experience in the moment. It doesn't have to be necessarily laying down with a trained professional to be able to use breath to get you through a period of stress, a period of crisis, to get you through, some sort of trauma.
Yes. Hi, Edway. And now What I Can Do joined, and more people join us. So welcome,
Right.
welcome. And okay, there is stress for different people, right? There is stress. So let's explore some breaths that yes, then
Yeah,
people can do in order to
yeah,
manipulate their experience. For instance, for me, I was telling you, my mother's brother died yesterday, and we were very close, and my mother was very close to him, and because of the restrictions in the movement of population due to coronavirus, now my mom stays with me, and her brother is in a different country. Like, my brother is in a different country. We are all over the world, so we cannot be physically through this process with his family, and then to say goodbye in a physical form. And of course, this brings, I'm not the only one. I'm sure that in this period, many people will experience this sort of situation where a loved one is sick or is dying, and dies, and they cannot be there. So this brings stress. Or there are other forms of stress as well, from work and from losing business, and being at home, too many people in the same place, right?
right,
So
right.
stress comes from, or pressure comes from different places. So what kind of breathing techniques that are not too complicated
Yeah,
people can use in order to have a better experience, to experience peace?
right. So I'm going to start with one, and this, I call it the 5 count breath. This was actually developed by Patricia Garibarb and Richard Brown, and they studied how you could use breath to move through traumatic situations, so that either you didn't experience a trauma, it certainly didn't get locked down in your body, and remind me to circle back to that, how trauma gets locked in the body. Um, and so this is a really simple breathing technique that you could use anywhere. You could use it, as I said on a video I just did, you can use it in the grocery store, in the line for the grocery store, um, or just any time that you're feeling overwhelmed and you just don't know where to turn. So it's called a 5-second breath. And I call it that way because what Patricia and Richard discovered is that if you have you voluntarily interrupt your breathing pattern, you'll have a different experience in the moment.
Yes.
So, and it's a fancy way of just saying you just change the way you breathe. Because in stress, you're gonna maybe we'll start hyperventilating. We'll have very shallow breaths up here, and that just kind of maintains a loop of trauma. So here's what the 5-second breath looks like, because you want to have no more than 5 or 6 breaths per minute.
Yeah. Okay.
So by breathing 5 on the inhale and 5 on the exhale, then that's going to give you about 6 breaths per minute. So it looks something like this, and you can do it along with me if you'd like. It goes,
yes, I want. And just look at my changes in my physiology as I'm doing this breath.
And we'll do it for like a minute or something like that. Okay, so we're going to start with the inhale. We're going to go.
A mouth or nose?
Whichever you want. Whichever you want. It doesn't really make a difference. I'm using mouth just because it's easier to see and hear. So
okay, so I'll do nose, so then we can.
All right, you do nose, I'll do mouth. Okay, so here we go. 5 in and 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Ready? And go.
Antibiotic. And what
You're yawning. That's good.
naturally, it naturally went. I breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth. It gives me a lot, and I felt like the gravity was. Look at my pupils are getting bigger, so you see the nervous system
Mhm.
gets into a
Makes
different gear.
sense. Yeah.
So I felt like the gravitation was taking the token of me, like I was going deeper into my chair and everything.
100%. Absolutely.
So you imagine how long do you have to do this? No, you don't have to do this, but how
I
long
mean,
would you
it's
do? Two
a
minutes?
minute or two. I mean, check in with yourself.
Yeah,
I started feeling different, as you say, more grounded
yeah,
uh, after like 30 seconds, and we did that about a minute.
yeah.
So easy to do, and it just takes it resets. It resets, as you say, it resets like your physiology to be in a place of calmness. Because think about it: if you're upset, if you're stressed out, if you're in a traumatic situation, and you breathe in a very relaxed, controlled, easy, gentle way, how they're in conflict, and the body always wins. The body always
Yeah.
wins over
And
the mind.
yeah. So it's 5 because you want about 5 uh,
Yeah,
breaths a minute.
yeah,
And that,
yeah.
that
Five,
they look
five to
at
six,
these
right?
different studies and they saw that this
This
calms
is
the brainwave. Oh, that's
100%.
really cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's one.
That's one. That's one. Do you want to do the 20 connected breaths
I
that I
would
did?
love to. I would love to because I'm sure lots of people will get benefit from this one.
Yeah, 20 connected breaths. So 20 connected breaths was definitely developed by Leonard Orr, who was my teacher and mentor in breathwork overall. And Leonard just spent his entire life. He recently passed away, and he spent his entire life just wandering the globe, searching all over India for the practices of the yogis and what made the
Yeah.
yogis so special.
Hmm.
And so he came up with this 20 connected breaths. And
Hmm.
it's based on the principles of rebirthing that we talked about earlier. So it's just having that connected breath
Yeah.
where there's no space in the between the top of the inhale and the beginning of the exhale, and vice versa.
Yes.
Uh, it is a series. It's 4 sets, 4 sets of the specific pattern, which is 4
Yes.
short breaths and 1 long breath. So it looks something like this. I'll
Yeah.
demonstrate one whole set, and
Yeah.
then we'll do the 20 sets together. So we're going to have 4 short breaths and then 1 long breath, all connected together. And then I'm just going to start the second set, so you get a sense of that. So here's how it goes. It goes again in and out of the nose or in and out of the mouth. Doesn't make any difference.
Whatever is comfortable for you.
Whatever is comfortable for you. So it's going to go. And on through the
Okay,
20.
so let's do it. So let's
do
do it together. Shall we do
Let's
it
do
for 20 times? Okay.
Okay, here we go. Ready and begin. And then as you sit there, just notice where your body is. How are you feeling? I'm feeling a little lightheaded. I'm definitely feeling some tingling, which means that I've brought in some energy maybe from the outside, some life force. Can't say that this morning. Some life energy.
I had no inner dialogue. Zero. 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 It's amazing. It's amazing. And it takes how many? Few seconds, right? To do
That
this.
was yeah, like a minute or two.
Yeah.
And it's like a little mini high, a little mini shift.
Yes. And this brings us into the present moments because so many times we get hijacked into the past or into the future. And what we want for a flourishing life, we want to bring the mind where the body is. There's where the magic is. And the breath, it's home. I learned from Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh is an amazing, probably one of the best writers on mindful living. Is like breathing in, I have arrived. Breathing out, I am home. Whatever we do, the breath is our home, and we're going to be together till we are not anymore. And breath is our friend. Let's make breath our friend and our mentor and not our enemy. And wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it's always you have a beautiful energy, and you always know how to hold space in a very smart and kind and also oriented way. So anything else you can leave us with?
Yeah, I'm just going to leave you with this. So our reptilian brain, the amygdala, whenever we're under stress or under threat, we have 3 choices to do as a human. We can flight, we can run away, we can flee from the situation, we can fight the situation, or we can freeze in the moment. And when we freeze in the moment, and like our brain starts in, if I don't know what to do, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? You hunker down and you stop breathing. And as soon as you stop breathing, because you're in freeze mode, because you're in panic mode, then the trauma or the experience gets locked in our body, and then it's harder and harder to move through it. So when you're under stress, just freeze. Don't freeze.
Yeah.
Just breathe.
So this is easy to say, more difficult to do for people that are not trained. That's why practice, because we get better to what we practice.
Yes.
If we start practicing this kind of techniques, it becomes like a default in life. So when something stressful happens, our brain goes into the mode of breathing instead of reacting. So that's the freedom, because then we have more choice into how we feel and how we respond. God bless you. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the future with other chats on personal development. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye. Yes. I'm ending the podcast as well on Facebook and